You feel this nervousness on the phone there?
Sir, I've been trying to make an urgent phone call up there.
Well, I don't think it's something I want to do on an overseas phone.
You gotta make some phone calls. Hang up the phone. Prank caller. Prank caller.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome once again to Packernet After Dark. This is the call-in show, the Packernet Podcast Network. If you'd like to call in, if you'd like to participate in the show, please feel free to do so. The phone number here is 608-501-0718. New callers go directly to the front of the line. Don't think we have any new callers today, but we do have Aaron. What does it say? The call didn't ring because of your availability settings. That's random. I've never seen that before. Okay. Anyways, here we go.
I just watched the Bears game. Oh, the Bears still suck. They just lost on a last-second miracle throw from that popped off the defender's hands right into the receivers. Oh, what a glorious day. Oh my goodness. We want the Packers won. It might have been a little not exactly how we wanted it to go, especially with all the injuries.
Sure.
But they won, and I'll take that. And the Bears just lost in the most Bears fashion ever. What a beautiful day. I don't even care that the Lions just rip the Titans to shreds. Just bring on next week. For now, onward to victory Monday. Oh my goodness. That's amazing. Anyways, have a good night, Ryan.
Yeah, that was one of the greatest things I've ever seen. It's similar to, again, it would be nice if they just got steamrolled because it's they're just clearly better than you. But there's something about the deep level of pain that caused. And then on top of that, I mean, it's almost to the point where I'm like, geez, guys, freaking calm down a little bit, which is uncharacteristic for me. The amount of absolute hatred that the Bears have been getting, first of all, by, I think it was Tyreek Stevenson, if I'm not mistaken. The video after video after video of this guy just... So first of all, the most recent one I saw, he's on the sideline talking trash with Washington Commanders fans who apparently are just standing right on the sideline. I don't know how you get access to stand right on the opposing team's... literally they shook hands is how close they were. But he was talking trash and video recording Stevenson, and Stevenson bet him, I couldn't quite hear what they were saying, but I think bet him that they were going to win. So I don't think you're allowed to bet fans on the outcome of games, but he shook on it, and then he asked the other guy that was there with him, you want some of this action too or whatever, shook his hand. So that's how the game started. Then you've got, obviously, this final situation where they score a touchdown, very little time left. I think it was 19 seconds left to start. So there was no time. It was basically over. Then you have a situation where they're going to run a play. There was just enough time to maybe get off one pass. Otherwise, it was going to be like an 80-yard throw into the end zone, which nobody's going to be able to do. There's nobody that's going to throw it 80 yards into the end zone, so you'd have to get into one of those throw it short hook and ladder things, which never works, ever. And the Bears, being stupid, decided they were going to defend a Hail Mary from 80 yards out, where Washington's like, all right, we're just going to quick pick up 15 yards, throws it quick, and I think they even had a play earlier. So, I mean, there was, I don't know how much time, there was no time. There was no freaking time left. I don't remember the exact series of events that burned all the time. But they picked up 15 yards because the Bears and the head coach and everybody else, nobody thought to defend that. And there was some confusion on the sideline. It looked like Caleb was yelling at people. The head coach was yelling at guys to get back. And then I think right before the snap, he's yelling at guys to come up because he realized what they were about to do. They steal 15 yards. Now they're within Hail Mary range. So that was a complete and utter failure by the Chicago Bears. Then you get the Hail Mary play. The Hail Mary play is a disaster because they rush 3 with 4 guys. What does that mean? That doesn't make any sense. I know, because they decided to keep somebody in as a QB spy, which is the dumbest thing in the history of the universe. Why do you need to spy the quarterback? If he's going to run, let him run. Either have somebody back or bring 4 guys. But no, they have a QB spy who did nothing. So they essentially defended with 10 guys. Then, down the field, you have Tyreek Stevenson not even paying attention to the play. He's taunting Washington fans about how the Bears won. Ha ha, you suck. He was even doing that after the snap, and there's video evidence of Bears fans pointing, saying, hey, go, which is also disastrous. Then that exact same guy sprints over there last second and is the guy that tips the ball into the air, which goes into the arms of the person who caught it. By the way, there was further video breakdown of this where you had Washington, who was very prepared for this. They understood what they needed to do. They break the pocket. They know they got to buy time because you got to get your guys down the field, whereas Bears players had no idea what they were doing. They were rushing incorrectly, doing everything wrong. And on that play, you had 2 Washington players. One of them was in the end zone in case the ball got tipped that way. You also had a player who was outside of the end zone at about like the 3-yard line or 5-yard line or whatever it was, away from the pile because they want to bat the ball down. So you want somebody there to possibly catch the batted down pass and run it into the end zone. Bottom line, they were very prepared. Chicago had no idea. They're just out there freewheeling it. Stevenson tips it up into the air, goes into the end zone, and it's caught. Why? Because there was a Washington player there. Why? Because they were well coached and knew exactly what to do, as opposed to the Chicago Bears. And then it continues to get worse, where the Chicago Bears head coach was asked about that 15 yards given up and why you just let them steal those yards. And his answer was, who cares? At the end of the day, it's just about keeping it out of the end zone. That's all we were really focused on. Oh, my Lord. To which you had Greeny, I think is his name, on whatever that show is, saying it's one of the top 5 dumbest things he's ever heard anybody say ever. Which again is, I feel like that's uncharacteristic for him or really anybody in the commentary space to talk directly about a head coach. But, I mean, you had one guy just stand up and walk off the set when that was played. You got another guy saying it was one of the dumbest things he's ever heard in his entire life. It's just, it's shocking incompetence on top of the fact that not only did they not know what they were doing, you obviously have a group of players that are not well coached, that are not ready to play, that are not focused, that are just doing kind of whatever they want. And also, another thing that's hilarious about this is I saw one of the Bears reporters saying Stevenson needs to be benched for a game. He needs to be suspended for next week. And Bears fans are saying that's stupid. You can't bench one of your starting players. And the example being used of why it's the right thing to do is the Green Bay Packers. This reporter saying they did it to Jair, they did it to Romeo Doubs, and look at the result after that. Romeo's been great after his suspension. Jair was great after his suspension. Sometimes you got to take the drastic measures to keep guys in line. It's just it's unbelievable how terrible. Not to mention, prior to this whole thing happening, you had the game that could have been put away a long time ago, but they decided to run an offensive lineman into the end zone. The offensive lineman doesn't know how to take a handoff. It bounces off his chest and gets intercepted. This is the shocking level of incompetence that this team exudes every single day, and it is freaking hilarious.
Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my gosh! So I'm watching the Bears game, right now, obviously, and they had that fumble to one with a stupid, offensive lineman taking the handoff play. Like, what a bunch of dummies! And then they come back and score, and then it's like, there's no way Washington's gonna score. They did it! Oh my gosh! I don't even care what happens. Oh, I mean, yeah, we won today, but holy crap, the Bears lost in the last second. I'm in a parking lot now. People are probably looking at me. The Bears suck! Oh my god! Oh, it's just I can't. My brain. The words, I can't believe it. Oh, that was pretty cool. I like that Jaden Daniels guy. He's a pretty cool dude. I mean, except when we play.
Well, that was the part that I completely left out of this whole thing was insult to injury. On top of the 50 things that just kicked Bears fans right in the nuts, you got Jaden Daniels, who was the quarterback picked after the guy you picked, the guy that you didn't even bother to interview because you were so arrogant in your selection of Caleb. You didn't bother to even look at the guy, talk to the guy, nothing. That's the guy that threw the game-winning Hail Mary pass to beat you. And he played better than you. Bears fans are adamant. No, Caleb was way better because all they choose to remember were the last 2 drives of the game where Caleb looked pretty good. The rest of the game, he was the most incompetent pile of crap I've ever seen at quarterback.
But man, stop laughing. Oh my gosh. Okay, I'm going to go to the store. My eyes are all watery. Like I've been bawling. Oh my gosh. Okay, hey, anyways. Okay, I'm out. I got
I do feel less weird because I was geeking out on the podcast as it was happening, and I'm like, this is getting a little crazy. Just in terms of like how much I'm actually dying right now. I can't breathe. But you guys sound identical to what I sounded like. This real error message is driving me nuts.
Hey, Ryan, how you doing?
Hey.
Packernet Jersey Jim. I got one thing to say about that Bear game. Oh, yeah. F*** the Bears. Oh, yeah. F*** them. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, Bears. Peace. Go packed up.
Yeah, that works. That works.
You know, Ryan, I was watching the end of the Commanders game, and it looks like the Bears are going to win. And I'm thinking to myself, man, must just suck to be a Vikings fan. Just horrible. Watching all your rivals win this weekend. And then the Bears go and... and bear down all over.
Do they just bear down all over that field?
What the... That is fantastic. It just, I'm sorry, it just couldn't happen to a nicer team. Just couldn't happen to a nicer team. So.
It's like in The Office when Andy's trying to make negative associations with Dwight, and he tells Michael that people in the office just say shrewded as a way of saying something negative. Like, oh, I really shrewded that. Start doing that with bears. Man, I really bared that, man. Dude, I really bared today. I bared it up real bad. I just bear down all over my pants, man.
I got no words. I just watched it like 10 seconds ago. I got no words, man. But so maybe it's a competition for who had the worst weekend between the Vikings and the Bears after what just transpired a minute ago. Oh, my goodness, man. Whew. Anyway, that's special. That makes the weekend special. So enjoy that, everybody. Talk to you later.
Makes the whole week special, to be honest.
Hey, Pac Daddy, this is Garrett from Southern Illinois. You need to get prepared to laugh so hard that your ribs are going to hurt more than Jaden Daniels after you see the Hail Mary that beats the Bears. The Bears still suck.
That is true.
Hey, Ryan, this is Bill in South Carolina.
Hey.
A few hours after the game, just wanted to call in another great win today on the road. Overcame all kinds of injuries, and the pickup of McManus has been such a great thing for us this year.
Yes.
I think that made a big difference. Having a backup that can actually play is also a big difference. So these pickups that we made, McKinney, a lot of these pickups are really paying off. And so real proud of the team. Go Pack Go. Every win is a huge win no matter what or against who. So very happy with getting the win today. And NFL's tough, so we just got to keep moving on. Got the Lions next week, so we'll see what happens. But go Pack, go! Great win.
That's a good point. It's a big part of it. I mean, the NFL is just it's constant adversity over and over again. You got to find a way to win, and that's where again we come back to the question of winning is the only thing that matters. I know that seems oversimplified and stupid, and to some degree it is, as far as like analysis and going into the future and all that kind of stuff, but there's always going to be problems. There's always going to be bad days, something's not going your way, adverse weather, injuries, whatever the case may be. And I mean, it's every week, and you got to figure out how the heck you're going to get through that. Or just, tough opponents like the Lions. That's just adversity. Got to figure it out. I don't know.
Hey, Ryan, it's Nate. I've calmed down a little bit. Went to the gym to work off some frustration. Obviously, the Packers won, which is awesome. But I think my feelings on the game are probably pretty well known. I don't think that barely beating the Jaguars makes us a playoff team. So I need them to prove something to me in one of these upcoming games. You got to have a statement game. And now with Love out, God only knows how long he's going to be out. We're going to be asking a lot out of Malik, but what's even better, what really turned my mood around is the fact that not only did the Jets lose to the Patriots and Aaron Rodgers just gets that slapped in his face, the Bears also lost to the Commanders. So the next time that I hear people talking about how the NFC North is so strong and we've got 4 strong teams, three. There's 3 strong teams in the NFC North. 2.5, honestly, maybe. I mean, Minnesota's looking a little suspect lately. So, yeah, go Pack, go.
Yeah, I mean, the Vikings have a pretty easy schedule coming up, so I'm guessing they're going to probably, who knows anymore, but my assumption is they're going to win at least most of them and then continue to claim that they're one of the best teams. And, as a Packer fan, we can push back a little bit, but to some degree, it's like, well, whatever. It's not a good time to pick that battle. But at the same time, I don't even know anymore. I mean, they had the Rams, Indy, Jacksonville, Tennessee. I mean, Tennessee is kind of a joke. Indy, I mean, they're getting laughed at too because their quarterback, did the whole helmet tap like I need a breather thing, and it's like in my entire life, I don't think that's ever been done in the history of the NFL before. So they're getting made fun of a little bit. But Indy's maybe not as bad as a lot of people would think. And Jacksonville put up a decent fight against us. As far as their offense, we're going to see as far as their injuries are concerned, but their offense, I think, is competent. Who knows? I don't know. I think the defensive thing was just us being incompetent, but you could argue that Indy and Jacksonville could put up enough of a fight that if the Minnesota Vikings are actually frauds, they may actually win that game. Tennessee, I don't know. That's tough. Then you got Chicago, Arizona, Atlanta, Chicago, Seattle, Green Bay, Detroit. That's kind of where it gets to be. Good teams can win those games. Bad teams probably don't win most of those games. Chicago, what do they got going on? They just had Washington. Arizona, I don't know. Not the greatest. New England is obviously awful. But then Green Bay, Minnesota, Detroit, San Francisco, Minnesota, Detroit, Seattle, Green Bay. So they've got maybe 2 weeks. Maybe, assuming Arizona is a team that they can beat, which I don't know, especially considering it's on the road. I believe, right? Yeah, so they're on the road against Washington and then on the road again to the other part of the country, to Arizona, and you get all the super hot weather, which, I don't know, could work against you, I guess. I know the stadium's a dome, but, it's got a retractable roof, so they might just pull that roof open, let it be 90 degrees in there. I don't know what they usually do out there. I really don't. If they don't do that, they should. As much as that seems like a crappy thing to do, if it's 90 degrees, you can close that roof and make it a comfortable, make it 65, good football playing weather or something, Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, for all 4 teams, it's getting to be real. The veil's coming off. Like you said before, as far as that team wasn't, they're not good enough to win in the playoffs. And you're right. This isn't a playoff team. Good thing it's not the playoffs, right? The point is, the playoffs are kind of starting soon. Not the actual playoffs, but that real tough run down the stretch to solidify your spot in the playoffs, sort of like the pre-playoffs. That's beginning very soon. And so they're going to have to tighten it up pretty quick here. All right, why don't we take our first break? I didn't realize we were going that long. We got Trevor and Virginia coming up.
Ryan!
Yo.
All right, we got to start off. Love's groin isn't too bad. Commentators were pissing me off. They kept talking about it to me until halftime. I was like, well, as soon as it happened, you saw where he was grabbing, and you're like, it's his groin. What did it do with the knee? It's his groin. And they're like talking about his knee. I'm like, he did not re-aggravate the knee. Anyway, this team is just, to me, they're pretty unbelievable right now. They wake up and they eat adversity for breakfast, and then they go to lunch and they eat some more adversity. I mean, they had no business winning this game today. Like, Love was out. We don't score a touchdown. It was all in the shitter. I apologize for that one. You're going to have to believe that. But, and then, they
tell you what, your call is fuzzy enough that next time if you let one slip, just don't say anything about it, because I'd have been plausible deniability. You know what I mean? Where it's like, I don't think he said it. I don't think he said it.
Out and just knocked 2 touchdowns on the board out of nowhere. With a great strip sack from Cooper. And then when we were down, I was like, man, can we really trust Malik to go win this game? I kind of even wondered when they came back out if Love was going to tough it out to try to go get us the game with a field goal. I'm glad he didn't. I'm torn because we won the game, but also it's like, he obviously aggravated the injury when that defender hit him late. Unnecessary little shove. It's football, it happens, right? But it was definitely unnecessary and intentional. But, it made it worse, so that's not good. But anyway, that's not my point. My point here is not to be down in the dumps. So, this team is just unreal. Malik Willis just has ice in his veins. He just comes out cold off the bench. He's like, I'm just going to hand it to Josh Jacobs like 12 times. Throw a couple passes that the receiver should catch, but they don't, so then we're just going to keep running it. And then, you know what? After running it time and time again, I'm just going to uncork a laser to Jaden Reed and go win this game for the Packers. Best 7th-round pick trade ever. I think I can say that for the Packers. He was our backup for 2 years, I have never had, especially now that he came off the bench into this, I've never had this much confidence in a Packers backup. Like, what's the name?
It would actually be an interesting thing to look into if it's one of the more valuable trades, as far as like low value trades that has ever been made. Just because you look at the value that the Packers are getting from him as a quarterback. First of all, quarterbacks in general, very valuable, right? But holy crap, to have let's put it this way. Is it the most valuable 7th round trade ever? I don't know. That would be worth looking into.
And, he was split a little bit, but I didn't have the confidence in him that he would go back and win us a game like this. Like, I don't know, maybe I'm downplaying. Flynn did get a starting job out of his backup role, so, but then he bumped. But anyway, this team is just, game and game again that should be lost. We win. And to top it all off, I'm like, great, the Commanders couldn't get in the end zone. They're going to let the Bears win. And then the Commanders get down there and just uncork Aaron Rodgers style Hail Mary. And the Bears, in typical Bears fashion, just completely screw it up. Like, you got 6 DBs all trying to make the pick instead of guarding all the receivers. Oh, man, that was the best end to the 4 o'clock games I've seen in a long time. Anyway, third month, go back out.
Yeah, Malik is something else, man. There's a lot of things to like about the guy. Again, I'm sure I wasn't his biggest critic, but I absolutely was not a fan. And I did a victory lap when he ended up falling in the draft because I thought it was insane that people thought he was a first-round pick. And when he didn't thrive in the NFL, I certainly was a little vocal about how much joy that gave me. So with that being the draft backdrop here, it is beyond impressive what he's been able to do and how good at football he seems to be. And there are certain characteristics. Again, his style is very, everybody's got their own style, and it's Love is not Favre or Rodgers is not Love and blah, 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 blah. This guy is very much his own thing. And one of the things I do like about him, he's very almost anti-love in a way. Not even as far as Rodgers, because it's like, that the interception disparity where one guy's kind of wild and crazy and one guy's cautious. He seems to be more, as you said, calm, but very just systematic. Just nice and easy, nice and calm. He's probably not going to throw the risky throws that Jordan is going to, which means there's not going to be those crazy, awesome plays unless somebody's a little bit more open or a little bit more obvious or whatever. But he has his own ways of creating. All right, if he doesn't throw that crazy throw that Jordan Love would have that got completed, maybe he either throws to somebody else or he doesn't find that person. Pressure comes and he's able to run for 10. But again, it just works. For whatever reason, I think it's a great compliment to what Matt LaFleur does for his offense. I think his desire to create misdirection and hesitation, there's nothing better than having a mobile quarterback. And honestly, this is why everybody in the NFL wants one. This is exactly why. Everything else works better. Everything else is just a little easier because these guys will always create hesitation. It's why we always panic when we go up against a mobile quarterback. Because for all the reasons we do, you don't want to play man because your backs are turned and you don't want to over pursue with the pass. Everything has to be, we got to cut our playbook in half. We got to slow down. We got to watch what we're doing. We got to do all this stuff. And it's freaking annoying. And I think Matt LaFleur sees that and he's like, dude, I can pick apart so much crap right now. Like you guys are, it's like you said, that play that went to Jaden Reed at the end of the game. We had no plan on doing it, but then Malik came in and we watched how they were playing Malik and we said, we should probably put it back in because now we can use it. Now it's going to work. Again, this isn't meant to be a knock on Jordan. There's just, there is an element of what a mobile quarterback can bring that just can't be brought without one. It's just very hard to find guys that have the mobility that Malik has that are also good quarterbacks. It's such a rare thing. But, man, when you can find one, it really opens things up.
Hey, Ryan, from Virginia. I called weeks ago and I got dumped, but it's kind of coming up again. Just on the whole, good God, what was that?
Whoa.
The Josh Jacobs fine thing. You were just talking before about how, like, I'm not saying it's not stupid. Don't take any of that as that way. But anyway, you're thinking it's like after DeMar Hamlin, they're like overly protective with all these fines, but that's actually unfortunately not the case. This rule that running backs can't use the crown of their helmet to initiate forcible contact was put in place in 2013, and running backs have been getting fined for it ever since. So it's a big fine, right? Like $45,000 for him, and like for one play, I don't know, for like not in necessary roughness or anything. But it is something they put in over a decade ago now. And just running backs, just basically, I think, just know they're going to be eating fine every now and then. And it shouldn't even be a flag if the refs see it. And when it first came out, I remember it was getting flagged a bunch. It was really annoying. Like you're a running back. Like lowering your head is what you do. It's a stupid rule, but by the rule, you got fined. But it's also like if anybody gets to unnecessary roughness, like you're talking about Ben Simmons last week, like it's automatically a fine. It's like this is so dumb. You shouldn't be getting fined unless you're like a repeat offender. Like I don't know, like. Ben Simmons did it once. Oh, let's fine it. No. Like, hey, you can't do this anymore. Okay, if you keep doing it, then, you start getting fined. Anyway, talk about the game, I completely missed on so many good things in this game, too. I mean, McKinney, another pick. Yep. Unreal. Almost even jumped another one. He was a step late. That ended up being a big completion, unfortunately. And then Tucker Kraft. I mean, I'm sorry, Musgrave. No matter what Musgrave does at this point, he's tight end, too. I mean, he'd have to really, I know they kind of have different roles, we always thought, but we thought Tucker Kraft wasn't the receiving guy, and look at him. I mean,
and the thing is, I mean, if Musgrave comes back and excels at exactly what I thought he would excel at, all he's going to do is replicate what Tucker's doing. I mean, Tucker is getting big plays, which is what Musgrave was supposed to be doing. It's like, well, Tucker gets them. I mean, he's getting open deep down the field, and then even when he doesn't, he's able to generate explosive plays by just knocking people on their face and continuing to run for another 15 yards.
The yak monster.
Yeah.
Like, he just was not going to go down when that cornerback was trying to tackle him running up the field. He was just like, yeah, little boy, you can run me till I go out of bounds at an angle, but you are not taking me to the ground. Anyway, pumped about this win. Pumped about the Bears loss. As usual, I'm calling multiple times in a row, and I apologize for that.
All good.
Eating up the airwaves. Go, Pack, go.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still hopeful that, Musgrave can come back and excel at what he's supposed to excel. I mean, he has a unique skill set, and he can be utilized in a lot of ways. I think he can cause He's similar to Christian Watson. He can cause strain on a defense and could probably even make Tucker's life even better. You know, I mean, if you're using let's just hypothetically, they're on either side of the offensive line. Musgrave goes streaking up the middle. It's got to draw the linebacker straight back. Well, here comes Tucker across the field. It's just going to create some space for him to dump it off and let him get somebody a yak, which he is quite good at. Why don't we take our final break? We got Aaron, got a couple calls, Nico, and we'll see where we go from there. We'll be right back.
What up? It's Aaron calling from Eau Claire. I thought this was a really important win today. It's currently Sunday evening when I'm calling. With the Cowboys 49ers game on. I thought the game today was a really important win because as the NFC North sorts itself out, the Bears are now firmly in fourth place. Vikings are now in third with their loss. And now it will be the Packers versus the Lions next week for first place. So obviously that's huge, and that doesn't happen if they don't win today. So regardless of all the weirdness of Love getting a groin injury and all that stuff, just really glad they got the win, and we'll see what goes on with Love's, with Love's groin. Stupid as that is to say out loud. Anyways, sorry. Just watching I actually turned it off. I couldn't keep watching the Cowboys 49ers game because it's such a pathetic game between two stupid teams. Anyways, but yeah, unfortunately, it looks like the Lions are looking really good. But they also played a Tennessee Titans team that literally has given up on life, and so I don't really put too much into the fact that they completely destroyed them. But we'll see what happens next week. I think it should be a tough game, but maybe tough for both teams. So yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, I've had a consistent standard that when you beat a team 52-14, you can't really play the but they're bad card. I mean, it's just, you have to be a special kind of team to hang 50 points on somebody else. That being said, I've also speculated that possibly this is one of those teams, and we've had several. I've mentioned Buffalo and Dallas. Those are two teams that come to mind that historically, speaking over the last 5 years or so, have been great at things like point differential. Not necessarily because they're even good, but because when they lose small, and when they win real big, right? So, they lost to Tampa Bay by 4 points, and that's it. And they've had a couple other close games, but then they've just got these freaking juggernauts where they've got, 47-9 against Dallas, ironically. They've got 52-14 against Tennessee. I mean, they've got these big, huge games where I think some teams just have the ability to say, we're better than you, and we're going to be better than you on every play, on every series, and we're just going to continually beat you over and over and over again. I think a lot of teams don't have that not that they wouldn't want to, they don't have that capability to be that good, that consistently all the time. But that's not necessarily what's going to happen every week, right? They went up against Minnesota, and they weren't. They were not better on every play, every drive, and it was very close, and it was a 2-point win. Arizona was a 7-point win. LA was a 6-point win. I mean, most of these are one-score games that it just kind of comes down to falling this way or that way. And so the first step that the Packers need to establish next week is to not be the team, especially at home, not be the team that is just worse than the Lions every single down, every single play, and gets blown out. Okay, once we establish that, then we probably say that we're going to be in a close game with a team that's maybe marginally better than us, and we need to find a way to come out on top. And the Packers historically have been good at that. I mean, obviously the Lions have too, because look at all their wins, right? A lot of close games. They've only lost one close game to Tampa. So Just like every other week, you just got to find a way to scratch it out and win. I don't want to look at 52-14 and just assume that's just who they are all the time. I think that's who they are against bad teams. And yes, I'm including Dallas in that because look at Dallas. I mean, they're just a shell of their former selves. You want to talk about a team that's given up on life? Holy crap! But yeah, that's there are teams that have that kind of identity. That's the Lions. I think that's going to scare a lot of people, including the Packers, which is good because again, last week, like I said, you couldn't draw up a more prototypical trap game than that. And the whole point of a trap game is you have a hard time kind of, even if you know it in your head, you have a hard time psychologically getting up for this game the way you would, for example, the Lions game. So they just need to be fully prepared, ready to rock and roll. And, hopefully that we have a bye next week thing doesn't weigh on them in any kind of capacity. But just play your best game and then find a way to win because it's going to be a tough fought game. I mean, I don't think the Lions are going to run up the score 52-14 against us. I don't think the Packers are going to run up the score 52-14 against them. And so it just kind of comes down to find a way to be the most efficient, find a way to, when you get in the red zone, you got to score. Third down conversion rate. Don't lose the freaking turnover battle, which I know has become a real problem for the Packers recently. Even though they get a lot of turnovers, it's still becoming a problem. Commit the least amount of penalties. I mean, it's just going to be, you got to be the playoff ready team that is the most disciplined. Don't drop the ball. Don't mess up when you have an opportunity, right? You're open, quarterback found you, quarterback threw a good ball, don't drop it. If you're the quarterback, don't miss the throw if he's there, right? Whenever there's opportunities, you have to capitalize on them. That's it. If a ball comes to a defender, do not drop a pick. If you can be the most disciplined team for 4 quarters, I think you can pull it out. But that's going to be the requirement.
Oh, and one more thing. The Jets dumpster fire just keeps getting worse.
Crazy.
I guess it kind of makes me feel like Aaron Rodgers and his buddies were so busy disrespecting their franchise when they were here in Green Bay for those last few years that they forgot to maybe think about that they should work harder and care more.
There's a very cheesy phrase that's true and really applies to this, and that is the grass is greener where you water it. Always thinking somewhere else is going to be better and everybody else is causing problems for you. What would have been great is if you'd have stayed here and nurtured the environment and the opportunity that you were given in Green Bay with a great organization, a great GM, a great head coach, and some really good teammates. Instead, you pissed and moaned and whined. You didn't do the necessary things. You didn't get to, I don't even want to say know your receivers, but get to work with them, get to talking with them, build a relationship with them, go practice with them, train with them, talk with them about, what it takes to be a pro. How I know it's hard to get on my level, but I'm going to help you. I'm going to lead you through this, all that kind of stuff. Work with your head coach rather than just saying I'm smarter than you and I expect you to call good plays. And if you don't, I'm going to change it because you're an idiot. Maybe don't take that attitude about everything in life. And then say, you know what, screw you guys. I'm going to go somewhere else where they have what I need. Because guess what? You're freaking wrong. You're wrong. Again, the grass is greener where you water it. You've got a backyard that's got some patches in it. Rather than throwing a little seed down and putting a little water on it, you went out to the Sahara Desert and said, I'm going to build a paradise out here. Good luck, Chief. Good luck.
And stop being arrogant towards their team. I kind of felt like they were, I think Aaron Rodgers sort of led the charge, but felt like they were kind of being spiteful towards the Green Bay Packers for some reason, like they had all decided that they were just better than the Packers and deserved better.
Right.
And now that they're all on the Jets, it looks like they got what they wanted. But what they wanted doesn't turn out to be that great. So I have zero sympathy.
Of course.
For
this is their own doing. Same with Davante. My wife said the other day, I feel bad for Davante. I really liked him. It's like, I liked him too, but that's not the point. He left. I mean, there's a lot of reasons, right? There was plenty of reasons. But at the end of the day, he He did not believe Jordan would be the guy. He knew Rodgers was leaving. He had an opportunity to jump ship and be closer to his family and go play with his friend, right? He had one sort of caveat that if the Packers gave him like a monster contract early in the season, that he would have stayed. The Packers did not do that because that is not their process. They offered him, they said, if you want me to give you a contract today, it's going to be based on today, and here's what it is. And he said, that's insulting. It's like, I know, right? So why don't you wait until after the season, and then we'll talk again. He didn't like that. So then after the season, they're like, okay, you did it. Great job. Here's your big contract. He said, no, screw you. You offended me. And then again, he's already admitted he didn't think Jordan would be what he is. And so that was now, he was very specific, like, well, I don't regret any of my decisions. So, whatever. But clearly, there is if he doesn't want to call it regret, there is a sense of, if I had known, I wouldn't have left. That was your decision, right? You thought you were being slick. You're going to stick it to the Packers. Now you're screwed because you don't have me. I'm going to take my talents somewhere else, and I'm going to help them thrive. How did that work out? Your buddy got fired, which is hilarious that you actually bought into that, because if you just looked at the contract they gave him, it was very clearly we're going to throw a bunch of money at this guy with zero guarantees and get rid of him immediately because we've been trying to get rid of him forever, but we're going to give him fake money just to get you in here, and then we're going to get rid of him, which is exactly what they did, which is what I said they were going to do just after looking at the contract for 2 seconds. So that sucked, and then you get disgruntled, go figure, because it turns out that as much as you thought the Packers organization were just a bunch of terrible people, you go somewhere else and realize what terrible organizations actually look like. And then you make the unbelievably stupid decision to leave one of the most dysfunctional organizations to go to one of the absolute few that's actually worse than that organization. But you did it because Rodgers is there, and you figure, you know what, the organization doesn't matter. Me and Rodgers are bigger than whole organizations. We're bigger than the Packers. We're bigger than the Raiders. We're bigger than the Jets. And we can have an incompetent owner and an incompetent GM and an incompetent head coach and an incompetent everything from top to bottom. And we can just drag this thing up from our, we can, the heck is that? Like standing in a bucket and trying to lift it, We can pull ourselves up. It's like, no, you freaking can't. And now you've got one of the best quarterback wide receiver combos in the NFL, along with Garrett, which makes it one of the best quarterback wide receiver situations, along with an extremely talented defense. The whole thing. We've done the picture already. And yet you are literally the worst team in football. Because not only do you have the same record as the worst team in football in New England, you just lost to them. And so I just hope, I'm going to just sit here and continue to make fun. And I'm sure people are not going to respond to that very well. I mean, Jets fans are absolutely acknowledging everything that we're saying right now. I've got some stuff queued up if we have time, tomorrow or whatever day we decide to do it. But a Jets fan just being like, you know what? I talked a lot of trash. I said a lot of stuff. I argued with a lot of people, and I'm going to get trashed for this, and I deserve it. I deserve all of it. And I hope that there are a lot of people that feel that way, starting with Rodgers and Davante. You know what? I had a lot of thoughts. I believed a lot of things, and it turns out I was wrong. And a lot of other people who felt like, the Packers organization was the problem. Poor Rodgers. He's trying to drag this deadweight team around. Yeah, okay. A little self-reflection for a few people, I think.
Aaron, and I guess Davante is a little bit. I don't think he's nearly the same case, but he also just be like they're just. I guess all those guys are just in a spiral of thinking that they can get better somewhere else.
Well, and I do think, look, I think part of the problem that the, Rodgers defenders crowd online, who to this day, that's their entire identity, is just going around attacking everybody that doesn't believe in Rodgers or whatever. Just vitriolic, horrible people. Not to say everybody that is a fan of Rodgers is that way. There are a group of like 5 of them. I've blocked maybe 2 people in my life, and I think they're both like the Rodgers people. They're just terrible human beings, talking about my kids and stuff, as well as a lot of other things that they've said that are really crazy on social media. Edgelords, I think, is the term. But one of the issues that I think a lot of them had is to just assume that because he's great at everything, and there can't be any drawbacks to anything about Aaron Rodgers. And I think that there are drawbacks. There's always positives and negatives, and you can't just pretend that there aren't. And one of the negatives that happens when you are a freaking billionaire, nearly, And you've been worshipped for the last 15 years. And by the way, you came into the league as a little bit too arrogant, according to people that were scouting you. And yeah, you've worked with some incompetent people, whatever. The problem is you get to the point where you're too big for this. You're too big for coaching. You're too big for, listening or learning or, being quote unquote talked down to in a way. Like who is going to go up to Rodgers and say, I don't like your leadership style and I'd like you to start doing this? Very few coaches today. Maybe coaches from the 90s would have gotten his face. Nobody's doing that today. Everybody bends over backwards to appease and do whatever they want because football players are sensitive and they'll get mad at me. And obviously Rodgers is not the worst case of this, but there's still an element of that. There is a drama queen element to this where you got to remember, as much as we think of these guys as like tough, gritty football players, they're also spoiled rich people who are pampered and have nannies and live in mansions and go out and hobnob with celebrities. And yeah, there are negatives to that. There are drawbacks to that. Some of these guys get a little arrogant and they just don't really care and they think they know more than you and they think they're better than you and they don't need you. And to some degree that's true, but it doesn't mean it's not a problem. And I think we're very visually and very obviously seeing the extent of the problem right now. The Jets went from Zach Wilson to Aaron Rodgers and Davante Adams and got significantly worse. And it's not because Rodgers is worse than Zach Wilson. There's something else going on. And that was always the problem in Green Bay. It's not a talent issue. It's not that he's not smart. It's not that he doesn't have a good arm. There are other things that go on behind the scenes that cause problems that permeate throughout the team and then come out the other side on a football field that create negative results. And it's harder to put your finger on it because you can't watch it. As easy as it is to see an overthrow or a drop, it's not so easy to identify how these character flaws can cause problems on a football team. But that doesn't mean they don't exist, just because you can't see them as plainly as you can see a drop or a missed field goal.
And then just, who's looking good right now? The Packers or any of the teams that Davante or Rodgers went to. The Vegas Raiders are terrible. So Davante wanted to get over to the Jets, and the Jets are probably even worse. So it's just, the irony is delicious. So I honestly can't say I'm not enjoying it. So yeah, Jets are floundering, Packers are thriving, and that's all that we need to know.
Feels good, doesn't it? It just does. Again, I hate to be petty, but we went through a frickin' war over this, and I've never been more vindicated in a thing in my life, and yeah, I'm going to gloat about it. Between this and Justin Fields, it's a toss-up. But, every once in a while you get something right and it feels good. It's not very often, but when it happens, it feels good. It's not just me that's vindicated. It's Matt LaFleur that's vindicated. It's Brian Gutekunst that's vindicated. It's the Packers organization and the way they go about doing business that's vindicated. So, anyways, I'm out of here. I got to get the other podcast recorded and whatnot. So you guys have a great rest of your day. I'll talk to you later. Have a good one. Bye-bye.